And good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're with me, Disal Kapuge.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekar, and we start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight.
Opposition calls for Speaker to withdraw his statement where he said the domestic debt optimization program cannot be challenged in court. Speaker says no.
මම ඔබතුමාගේ දැනගන්න ඕන යෝජනාවක් කෙසේද අධිකරණයේ විභාගයට ලක් නොකරවෙන්නේ
තර්ජනය කරලා භෝජන සංග්‍රහ ලබා දීලා අධිකරණයේ මිනිස්සුන්ට තර්ජනය කරන වරප්‍රසාද කමිටුව ඉදිරියට ගේනමයි කියලා මේක හරි වැරදි ක්‍රමයක්
මගේ තීරණය වෙනසක් කිරීමට මට අවස්ථාවක් නැහැ.
Supreme Court dismisses petition against domestic debt optimization program for the EPF. Sarath Fonseca joins protest in Colombo. Anura Kumara raises concerns over the unique digital identity project.
එම ව්‍යාපෘතිය සහ සාගර රත්නායක අතර තියෙන සම්බන්ධය කුමක්ද?
සාගර රත්නායක මැතිතුමා මෙහි සමසභාපතිවරයා හැටියට මම තනතුර බාර ගන්නකම් හිටියා.
Southern Province electricity land dispute settled.
In your top story tonight, opposition lawmakers in Sri Lanka have urged the Speaker to withdraw his statement in which he said that the proposal on executing the domestic debt optimization program cannot be challenged in any court.
However, Speaker Mahinda Apabewardena said he would not amend his stance on the matter. Now, Leader of the House, Minister Susil Premajantha told the House that he does not believe the Speaker's ruling on a privilege issue can be viewed as influence on the judiciary.
You issued a directive in Parliament stating that as a proposal was passed in Parliament with respect to the Employees Provident Fund, it cannot be taken up for examination in the court. When you delivered the ruling in the morning, the relevant case was to be taken up for examination in the court in the afternoon. If the court ruling was wrong, you could have issued a directive after the court had delivered a ruling. At the same time, your directive is wrong. What is the proposal in Parliament? What is the process followed in drafting laws in Parliament? The process reaches Parliament after passing through the courts. The court has the right to determine whether legislation is consistent or inconsistent with the Constitution. However, after the bill is passed in Parliament, the court cannot rule on it. However, this is a proposal and not a bill. Imagine if a member proposes to close all the courts in the country and it is approved by a majority. Can it not be examined by the court? We can go to court on any bill or regulation that comes to Parliament after passing the court process. I would like to know how a proposal cannot be challenged in the court. Stating that a proposal moved by the Parliament after being approved cannot be challenged in the court is completely wrong. The directive given by you on August 9th sets a very bad precedent. Therefore, you need to withdraw that statement. Issuing a directive on a matter that is up for examination is a violation of the standing orders. The government is attempting to do something nefarious. When that happens, we will go to court. But you have moved it to Parliament as a proposal, and the Speaker issued a directive against challenging it in the court. Parliament Speaker of this country is issuing directives in the House as the agent of the President, that is against the judiciary and influencing the judges. The judges are also being intimidated. There is a pattern to this. Judges are threatened that they would be summoned to the Privileges Committee in Parliament. This is a wrong system. The government will change in another year or two. As the Speaker, maintain your dignity, end the conduct that taints your character and stop being a slave to the executive. Reverse the decision that you made. You have given a decision with regard to a privilege issue raised by a member. I do not believe that it interfered with any judicial process. The decision on examining the petition depends on the submissions that are made to the court. In order to proceed with the Constitution, there is one essential matter. The Parliament must respect the judiciary. The judiciary must respect the Parliament. Institutions in the country are linked with respect and trust. That is being stomped upon today. The foundations of the constitution are being destroyed.
ඒක සම්පූර්ණයෙන් කඩා වැටෙන තත්වයට පත් වෙනවා කියලා.
මෙතෙන්
You have given a decision with regard to a privilege issue raised by a member. I do not believe that it interfered with any judicial process.
නෙවෙයි.
දැන් ඔබතුමා දුන්න තීන්දුව
Whether the decision is right or wrong is a separate matter. You have given a ruling, and as per the parliamentary tradition, when the speaker issues a ruling, it is accepted. If you are challenging it, the only option is for a no confidence motion.
කියන එක පමණයි. නින්දෙන් නැගිටින වෙලාවට මතක් වෙනවා කියන්න එපා.
Do not speak like you just woke up. If this becomes a tradition, we will have a serious situation in the future.
තුනොත් ඒක බරපතල තත්ත්වයක් නිර්මාණය කරනවා. මෙතන වැරදි මත
They are trying to create a misrepresentation stating that there is influence on the judiciary. Certain NGOs are working on destabilizing the state. There are views being expressed on that.
ඔබතුමා දන්නවද?
At the recent parliament group meeting of the government, they had shown a video of the media heads of a certain media institution and had decided to appoint a select committee against that media institution. There is no room for that. This is not a dictatorship and not a country ruled by Hitler. This is a democracy.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී රටක්.
ඒ පිළිබඳව කතා කරා මාධ්‍ය පිළිබඳව කතා කරා.
We spoke about the media. If there is a lie, it will be rectified. Or will action be taken? That is what we talk. We will not do what happened to Richard de Soisa.
අතුව ගරු කතානායකතුමනි රිචඩ් සොයිසට කරා වගේ මරලා දාන්නේ නැහැ අපි.
මේ තීන්දුව ගත්තේ
This decision was taken following legal consultation. It never mentioned about the court case. There is no need to change my position.
මගේ තීරණය වෙනසක් කිරීමට මට අවස්ථාවක් නැහැ. ඒ ගැන කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. මොකද නිසි සියලු පියවර අරගෙන තමයි මේ තීන්දුව ගත්තේ.
The Supreme Court on Friday dismissed the petition that was filed stating that the fundamental rights of employees were violated after it was decided to reduce the interest awarded to EPF members following the domestic debt optimization program.
Under Sri Lanka's domestic debt optimization program, it was decided to reduce the annual interest rate awarded for EPF investments in government securities. Under the DDO, the maturity of treasury bonds held by superannuation funds were extended from 2027 to 2038 with a step-down coupon structure of 12% until 2025 and 9% until maturity. Financial analyst Chaturanga Abesinghe, an executive member of the Jatika Jana Balawega and a member of the EPF, filed the application with the Supreme Court, stating that the aforementioned decision violated the fundamental rights of the workers. However, upon considering the facts, Justices Vijit Malalgoda, Gamini Amarasekara and Janak De Silva decided to dismiss the petition.
Jatika Jana Balawega leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake told Parliament that several concerns have arisen with regard to the Indian company linked to the proposed digital ID project. He said the tender process was executed by targeting the Indian company in question.
The proposed unique digital identity project is in the implementation stages. 7 companies have obtained the necessary documentation to submit their tenders. However, only 2 companies submitted the tender. In the end, the Madras firm was selected. This is Madras Security Printers, which was given the tender to print security sticker on liquor bottles. There is an allegation that this company caused the loss of 1.1 billion rupees to the government. The Justice Minister told in Parliament there was an excise loss of 60 billion rupees following the use of these fake stickers. Madras Security Printers has been blacklisted in several countries, including Kenya, Sudan and Liberia. Who is the joint chairman of the Joint Project Management Committee? It is Sagala Ratnayaka. There are 2 joint chairmen. I am one and the other is the High Commissioner. What is Sagala Ratnayaka's connection to this project? When I was appointed to this ministry, the project was operating from the President's office. Until my appointment, it was Sagala Ratnayaka who served as joint chairman. I do not think Sagala would release a 41 billion rupee project. This firm will own the data from the blood type to everything else related to a person. In today's world, the person who possesses the data is the most powerful. We need to understand how is it fair for an overseas firm to have control over our data. We need to consider the rights to data, national security and threats when awarding such tenders. I can assure you that the data of the citizens will not be violated and there will be no threat to the sovereignty of the country. Our data will not be sold to a third party. Do not try to block this. Sagala Ratnayaka is no longer linked to this. If there is an issue, it will be from the committee, ICTA or the ministry.
A controversy has occurred amongst farming communities who nourish their fields from the Udavalava reservoir, which is fed through water released from the Samanala River. Farmers whose fields are situated in the lower half of the irrigation system have raised concerns over water not reaching their cultivations, claiming that those in the upper areas are diverting water to their fields.
A group of farmers from Walava inspected the left canal in Kiriban Ara in Sevanagala on Friday morning, as they still have not received water. Farmers observed how the canal was blocked from certain areas to divert water. The water flows from the Udavalava reservoir to the Kiriban Ara. Is there a point in providing water once the fields of farmers from Mayurapura are completely destroyed? More than 200 acres of paddy fields in Halmilla, Katia and Bilipitia, nourished through the Udavalava South Canal, have received water. This is the first flow of water we received after it was released from the Samanala River. We are content because we believe we can save at least half of our cultivations. A tense situation arose in Buveliara in Angunakola Palassa on Thursday when a group of farmers blocked the water flowing from the Udavalava reservoir, and on Friday the water was released with the intervention of the Police Special Task Force and the Mahawali Authority. The water we received is insufficient to cultivate our fields. We have to be given water for close to an hour daily in order to manage water, but the damage caused to farmers is immense. 572 hectares of the Gotaimbara village alone have been damaged. Other people do not have access to water. Farmers in the upper fields block the canals and get water. Our fields die. If we get water for at least 2 to 3 days, we can survive.
Concerns are mounting over the national energy requirement against a backdrop where authorities say the southern province transmission line can be linked to the national grid in 6 days. Given the fact that 2 out of the 3 generators at the Norochole power plant are out of service, 45% of Thursday's national electricity requirement was sourced from hydropower. However, given that arid weather conditions are contributing to the reduction of water levels at reservoirs, authorities are likely to consider the option of purchasing electricity from the private sector.
The Cabinet has informed us to purchase electricity if there is a requirement to do so, and we are prepared for it. We cannot do everything at once. However, we are ready to face any situation. The electricity tariff is revised twice a year. The next tariff revision is fixed for the 1st of January next year.
Senior electricity engineers at the Ceylon Electricity Board commented on the present situation.
If we opt for emergency purchasing, it will cost us 150 billion rupees daily. I believe instead of opting for that option, we can go for very limited power outages. The Norochole power plant will be up and running next week. There need not be any fear over island-wide power cuts. I believe it would be for an hour and a half or 2. It would be between 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. As a country, we need to be patient. If we opt for emergency purchasing, we will have to do it for a year.
Yet recently, Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, that the CEB will ensure an uninterrupted supply of power island-wide and has no plans for scheduled power cuts.
A protest took place opposite the Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo on Friday the 11th, calling for a law-abiding country free of corruption. The protest was organized by the Collective for a People's Revolution via an unarmed struggle.
The protest calling for a law-abiding country free of corruption took place with the participation of Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca. The protest was themed "Our Country, Our Children's Tomorrow." Lawyers, doctors and other professionals extended their support for the protest. When the protesters attempted to engage in a protest march, Sri Lanka police prevented them from doing so, citing a court order. Thereafter, the protesters remained at the Vihara Mahadevi Park and engaged in the protest. Security was increased in the area and a water cannon truck was also stationed in the vicinity.
If the people accept whatever is given and remain silent, we will always have a country where 70% of the population is poor and a country where people have to depend on a politician to enroll a child into a school, obtain employment and to also survive. This applies to the people in Colombo as well. The people must awaken. They must reject corrupt politicians. We need to build a law-abiding country free of corruption and theft. And without doing so, there is no point in yelling out that the economy will be revived. Politicians will use inflation and interest rates for their own benefit. Unless the corrupt and corruption is eradicated, there is no better life for anyone. The people need to be brave enough to point the finger at a corrupt man and call him a thief. We call on the people to rise up.
After protesting for 2 hours, the group dispersed.
News first with the people.
Meanwhile, a protest was held opposite the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital today, demanding solutions to the problems that have arisen in the health sector, including the shortage of medical supplies.
A group of employees attached to the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital had organized this protest.
These people neither have the capacity to run this hospital nor provide us with the basic funds we require. Doctors are finding it difficult to run daily functions due to this crisis. When they privatize health, the people will have to pay for medicine. The current quantity of employees are insufficient within a private model. Therefore, we demand the Minister of Health to provide a clear answer to this.
A campaign to gather public signatures and a pamphlet distribution was conducted opposite the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital today in support of the no confidence motion against Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella. The program was organized by the National Movement for Patients' Rights and Free Healthcare.
We are collecting these signatures for several reasons. Some of them include importing substandard, unregistered drugs to the country, the people having to suffer because of it, and the people not receiving the required drugs on time. These drugs are imported using the people's money. We will present this no confidence motion to the Parliament. Parliamentarians with a clear conscience will do something about this.
A protest demanding immediate solutions to the ailing health sector of Sri Lanka took place on Friday evening opposite the Health Ministry in Colombo. The protest was organized by the National Movement to protect the rights of patients and free healthcare.
People enter the eye hospital with vision and leave without vision. When people are alive, they visit the hospital for medication, but they live in a box. On one hand, the medicine mafia is operating. The ministry is purchasing medicine for high prices. They are always engaged in emergency purchasing. The president, the government and the minister must step down.
The no confidence motion against Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella will be debated during the first week of September. Chief Opposition Whip Lakshman Kiriyala told News First that the decision was reached during Friday morning's party leaders' meeting. Recently, the Samagi Jana Balawegaya handed over the no confidence motion against Sri Lanka's Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwella with 45 signatures. The no faith motion was moved against the Health Minister for irresponsibly allowing the inflow of substandard medicines and medical equipment for weakening the health sector and contributing to the deaths of patients.
A controversy has occurred among farming communities who nourish their fields from the Udavalava reservoir, which is fed through water released from the Samnala Vava. Farmers whose fields are situated in the lower half of the irrigation system have raised concerns over not reaching their cultivations, claiming that those in the upper areas are diverting water into their fields. Meanwhile, we will bring you a comprehensive detail or more on this in the bulletin as we keep going. Now, in more news, Madhushanka Dissanayake was appointed as the Acting Director General of the Telecommunication Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka.
Madhushanka Dissanayake assumed duties as the Acting Director General of the Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka on Friday morning. Madhushanka Dissanayake is a product of Malayadeva College, Kurunegala, and completed his higher education at the University of Colombo, Open University of Sri Lanka and the Melbourne University.
The interest rate for Treasury bills has reduced significantly. The Treasury bills is the method by which the government obtains short-term loans.
During the recently held auction, the equivalent interest rates for 3 months bills were 19.78%, 6 months bills were 17.11% and 1 year bills were 13.94%. It is stated that the amount of bids submitted for this is 247 billion rupees. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has received 45 billion rupees on behalf of the government. The Central Bank announced that the related payments were made today.
Japan has highlighted collaboration in efforts to restructure Sri Lanka's debt.
Japan's ambassador to Delhi, Hiroshi Suzuki, has underscored the robust collaboration between Tokyo and Colombo in navigating the intricate terrain of debt restructuring, while also commending the instrumental role played by India. Speaking at the India-Sri Lanka-Japan Trilateral Cooperation event, Ambassador Suzuki articulated Japan's commitment to adhering to international rules and standards in the pursuit of debt restructuring. He said that India's issuance of financing assurances in January significantly expedited Sri Lanka's debt restructuring. The collaboration between Japan and India intensified during Prime Minister Kishida's visit to India in March, where discussions with Prime Minister Modi focused on Sri Lanka's economic challenges and solidified the nation's close coordination in advancing the debt restructuring process. Sri Lanka's debt restructuring represents a remarkable instance where the international community has rallied to aid a middle-income country in managing its debt predicament. Ambassador Suzuki expressed optimism, stating, quote, "If we can fully solve this, we will make history by turning this challenge into a reality," unquote. Punit Agrawal, Joint Secretary of the Indian Ocean region in the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, said that some projects in Sri Lanka which were to be executed jointly by India and Japan did not progress due to several reasons, but that should not deter in exploring new cooperation. Addressing Sri Lanka's need for trustworthy partners to support its economic revival, Agrawal stated, quote, "India and Japan bring in investments that are transparent and process-oriented," unquote.
The Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Forces is eyeing on the Colombo dockyard for future repairs of its ships.
The Colombo Dockyard PLC was selected as an afloat repair service provider to the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Forces at the Colombo port recently. Every summer, the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force deploys a fleet of ships across the Indo-Pacific region to conduct joint training, visit ports and invite locals aboard. This year, that engagement deepened. One of the destroyers from the fleet, JS Samidare, has been making port calls that signal a greater commitment to the region. They include maintenance work at a Sri Lankan shipyard. This is the first time for the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force to repair one of their vessels at a foreign shipyard, and Colombo Dockyard PLC was selected as the first shipyard in a foreign country to offer the repair facilities. The afloat repair was successfully carried out from the 21st to the 25th of July at the port of Colombo. According to Nikkei Asia, a spokesperson for the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force said that the aim was to verify whether Colombo Dockyard was fit to service Japanese ships. Japanese shipbuilder Onomichi Dockyard took over Colombo Dockyard from a state-owned enterprise in 1993.
An event to declare open a new building of the Skandapuram No. 2 Tamil School in Kilinochchi took place today. The building was constructed using the funds of the Japanese government.
The Japanese government-funded building of the Skandapuram No. 2 Tamil School in Kilinochchi was declared open on Friday. Zonal education officers, teachers, parents and students of the school participated in the event. Ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, was the chief guest of the event.
GGP aims to improve basic human needs at a community level and build up human security. As a long-time development partner of Sri Lanka, Japan has continued to support economic, social, and sustainable development in Sri Lanka. Today, I visited this elementary school and witnessed many beautiful smiles. This is one of the very reasons we support Sri Lanka through GGP. We will continue to provide the necessary assistance to bring smiles to the faces of the children and the people of Sri Lanka. Today, we are pleased to witness the progress and the impact of the project on students. And we sincerely hope that students enjoy studying in the new constructed buildings, and the project will bring a great impact on the quality of education.
The building was constructed using 17.6 million rupees funded by the Japanese government.
Shortcomings in water management were revealed during a COPE meeting in Parliament.
Revealed Committee on Public Enterprises meeting in Parliament.
අන්තිම වෙනකල් ඇයි විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට අන්තිම තරුප වෙනකල් හිටියේ. ඉතින් අරගොල්ලෝ කියන්නේ වතුර කලින් ඉල්ලනවා අපි මේක දෙනවා. වතුර මදි වුණොත් විතරයි අපි ඉල්ලන්නේ. නැත්නම් අපි ඒකට යන්න දෙනවා. අඩුම ගානේ
You could have informed at least in the middle of June. Water is required from the Samanala River because the south isn't connected. If the water in the Samanala River is extracted, we will have to opt for emergency purchasing. But procuring it takes 45 days.
අපි ඒක ඇඳලා තියෙනවා සර් මේ සමනලය කොහොමද ඩ්‍රොප් වෙන්නේ කියලා. ඒතකොට එන සමාජිකයෝ ඒක දැනගන්න ඕනේ.
දැන් ගැටලුව තියෙන්නේ වෝටර් මැනේජ්මන්ට් කමිටි එකේ.
කමිටියෙත් ඒතකොට ඇත්තටම සර් දැන් අර
කමිටිය බාර ගන්න ඕනේ.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මාත් බාර ගන්න නැත්තේ නෑ.
මිනිස්සු බාරට බහැලා විදුලි බල ඇමතුමා රන් දෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ ඒ වාරි මාර්ග ඇමතුමා රන් දෙනවා. අපි ඊට පස්සේ කියලා ඒ දෙගොල්ලන්ටම ගන්නවා. අවසාන මේ සින්දුව තීරණය කරන්නේ අර වෝටර් මැනේජ්මන්ට් කමිටිය එකේ. ඉතින් ඒකේ හරියට තීන්දුව ගත්තා නම් ඔය ප්‍රශ්නේ ඔක්කොම ඉවරයි.
සර් කියන එක ඇත්තටම හරි සර්. අපි
What you are saying is very true. Let's forget Udawalawa and Samanala River. Let's talk about the others. We requested water because of what we observed.
හැබැයි දැන් මේ වෙලාවේ මේ දැක්ක හින්දා අපි ඉල්ලුවා. ඒ ආපු සමාජිකයෝ අපි යාලට තීරණයක් දෙන්නේ මේ කිව්වා.
උඩවලමේ පළවෙනියට වතුර දෙන්න පටන් ගත්තේ කවද්ද?
සර් අප්‍රේල් 20.
අප්‍රේල් 7 වෙනිදා ඔබතුමල්ලා වතුර මුරයක් දුන්නේ නැද්ද? අප්‍රේල් 7ත් 11ත් අතර.
ඉතින් වෝටර් මැනේජ්මන්ට් කමිටි එකට එකතු වෙලා ගහන්න ඕනේ කරපු වැඩේට. විදුලි වලට අන්තිමට වතුර ගැහුවේ.
නවත්තන කාලේ තියෙනවනේ. නවත්තන කාලේ මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඩ්‍රින්කින් අර මේවට වතුර ටිකක් දෙනවා. ඒවා තමයි සර් දෙන්නේ.
30 වෙනිදා කියලා පළවෙනිදා ඇරෙන්න මං අහන්නේ ඊට කලින් ඔබතුමාලා කොයි හරි වෙලාවක ඉන්ෆෝම් කරලා තියනවද CB එකට අපේ උඩවැලව වැව දැන් වතුර හිඳීගෙන යන්නේ සමල්වයෙන් අපිට වතුර ඕන කියලා.
සර් ඉතින් මම ඒක මේ කියන්නේ ග්‍රාෆ් එකේ මෙන්න මේ සමල්වය ඒ ටික ඉතින් ඕන කෙනෙක් අපිට
ඉන්ෆෝම් වෙලා නැහැනේ.
ඔක්කොම ඉංජිනේර්ස්ලා නෙන්නේ.
නිලධාරී මහත්තුරු.
Certain officials do not accept responsibility on some matters. They have acted ignorantly. We asked you to propose the types of disciplinary action to be launched against those officials. You did not follow through with it either. Next time you are summoned, we will have to make a decision on you as well.
Following the release of water from the Samanala River to nourish fields, power can be generated from the Samanala River only for another 4 days. Power generation capacity of the Samanala River power plant has been reduced subsequent to the reduction in the level of water. In light of this situation, attention has now been drawn towards exploring alternate methods to provide power to the south of Sri Lanka. One main option is connecting the National Power Transmission Unit to the southern province. The relevant landowner who had refused to provide access to install transmission lines on a land in Siripagama Ratnapura, which had hindered the progress of this project, agreed to allow the CEB to install transmission lines without compensation. The agreement had been reached during a mediatory meeting held at the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka today.
Members of the Articular family granted us permission today to continue setting up power lines after an extensive discussion. They provided us access to carry on with this task without requesting any compensation, considering this a deed to support the government and the people of the south. We intend to start work tomorrow. The 700-meter portion will be complete in 6 days. A wrong notion was publicized saying the family was against setting up these transmission lines. We did not request for compensation because we understood that this is a matter of national importance. The matter was resolved well.
The 25th World Scout Jamboree has concluded with a concert in Seoul after a tumultuous 11-day journey across South Korea that was marred by heat wave, unsanitary conditions and an evacuation owing to a typhoon threat.
The closing ceremony, which included the handover of the Scout flag to Poland as the next hosts, was followed by a glitzy concert with some of the biggest K-pop acts, including New Jeans, IVE, NCT Dream, ITZY and Mamamoo entertaining the 40,000 strong audience. As scouts entered the stadium, they were given bags containing merchandise of K-pop group BTS, who were not scheduled to perform because several of its members are taking part in mandatory military service. Heavy rain meant scouts had to pitch tents in swamp-like conditions, while a heat wave and a lack of natural shade at the campsite caused hundreds to be taken ill, and some reported substandard sanitary conditions.
The second leg of the LOLC Divisavya program got underway, centering the Kandy district.
The LOLC Divisavya program is taking place to support the Sri Lankan student population. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC group and the Ministry of Education. 1,290 students from 18 schools in the Kandy education zone were provided with school books and stationery items. School books and stationery items were distributed to students from the Dangolla Sri Vimala Buddhi Primary Vidyalaya, Mahanuvara Takshila Vidyalaya, Kappitipola Vidyalaya and Madhyama Bandara Vidyalaya. School books and stationery items were distributed to students from the CWW Kannangara Vidyalaya, Senkadagala Sangamitta Vidyalaya, Sivananda Tamil School and Sivananda Primary School. Another LOLC Divisavya team distributed school books and stationery to school students at the Kandy Zonal Education Office. The LOLC Divisavya program will continue to support the future of the Sri Lankan student population.
Be the first to know about the biggest stories as they break. Subscribe to News First English News Alerts. News First, your trusted English news channel.
Now taking a look at news from around the world, the death toll from the devastating wildfires on the island of Maui of Hawaii has now climbed to 55 as officials warn that the loss of life is expected to rise further.
Maui County confirmed that another 17 fatalities were confirmed on Thursday, taking the toll to 53 victims. Another 17 fatalities were confirmed on Thursday, taking the toll to 53 victims. Maui County confirmed by Thursday night another 2 people had been found dead. Hawaii Governor Josh Green said on Thursday evening that around 1,000 people are still unaccounted for, as he said that the Aloha state is headed for its deadliest disaster in state history. He said that those unaccounted for are not presumed dead, but that hundreds have been left without communications, and so their safety is unclear. The wildfires continue to devastate Lahaina, with more than 1,700 buildings and billions of dollars in property destroyed. Maui Mayor Richard Bisson said that the historic town has been totally wiped out.
Russia has launched its first mission to the moon in nearly 50 years, pitting it in a space race with India, which is also aiming to land a lunar craft this month.
As it actually takes off behind us, so we'll have a look now. This magnificent machine powering up.
The launch of the Luna 25 craft to the moon on Friday was Russia's first since 1976, when it was part of the Soviet Union and was conducted without assistance from the European Space Agency, which ended cooperation with Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. The launch from the Vostokny Cosmodrome in the Far East took place at 2:10 a.m. Moscow time Friday, according to live images broadcast by the Russian space agency Roscosmos. The four-legged lander weighs approximately 800 kilograms and is due to reach lunar orbit in 5 days. It will then spend between 3 and 7 days choosing the right spot before landing in the lunar South Pole area. The lander is expected to reach the moon's surface on the 23rd of August, around the same time as an Indian craft, which was launched on the 14th of July. Both countries' modules are headed for the lunar South Pole, an area where no spacecraft has landed smoothly. Only 3 governments have managed successful moon landings: the Soviet Union, the United States and China. Roscosmos said the module would operate for 1 year and take and analyze soil samples and conduct long-term scientific research on lunar surface material and the atmosphere.
Now taking a look back at some local news, the project to provide clean drinking water for the families in the Samagipura village in Munragala is said to be vested with the people tomorrow. This is yet another community upliftment project conducted by Gammadda.
Samagipura is a rural village falling under the purview of the Sevanagala Divisional Secretariat and is home to around 500 families. It also houses a school which educated 400 children. Sourcing drinking water for those residing in the villages of Samagipura, Kiribban Ara and Mahagama has proven extremely difficult due to the high levels of salinity in the water. This has resulted in many residents falling victim to kidney disease. When the pleas made by the residents to responsible authorities were not heeded, they turned into Gammadda for solace. The Clean Water Project was sponsored by Mr. K. Sunil Senaviratna from Pitakote. Once it was commenced by Gammadda. The clean water apparatus was installed based on the expert advice of the National Kidney Disease Surveillance and Research Unit of the Ministry of Health and the technical support provided by the Sri Lanka Navy. Gammadda is geared up to hand over this newly installed water purification unit to the residents of Samagipura tomorrow.
Veteran cricketer Daya Sahabandhu, the first Sri Lankan to cross the 1,000 wickets mark in first-class cricket, passed away yesterday. His final rites will be conducted tomorrow at the Borala Cemetery.
Born in 1940, Daya Sahabandhu entered the cricket field as a spinner from Royal College, Colombo. He was a member of the team who represented the Royal Thomian Cricket Encounter and then entered the first-class field. Daya Sahabandhu played as a first-class cricketer from 1968 to 1975. He was called up for the national team before Sri Lanka obtained Test status. He made history as the first Sri Lankan player to exceed 1,000 wickets in first-class cricket as well as third to achieve his feat in Asia. Daya Sahabandhu, who represented the Nomads Sports Club, has 1,048 first-class wickets to his name. He worked as a sports consultant at the Colombo Municipal Council and joined the Capital Maharaja Group thereafter. He was a member of the Capital Maharaja Group cricket team and executive for 30 years. 83-year-old Daya Sahabandhu passed away yesterday and his mortal remains are kept at a private funeral home in Colombo for the public to pay their final respects.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News here on TV1.
For all these stories and much more, you can visit our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. Thank you for watching. Good night.